This is Lisa from Mobile Tech Review, and today we're going to do a smackdown between two flagship Android smartphones, both out of Korea. And I know some of you have gotten emotional about this already because in our LG G2 video review, you Samsung people have been fighting with the LG people back and forth, so chill this time, guys, in the comments, okay? It's not a personal decision that you have to fight with each other about. Now that I've said that, both of these are $199 on various U.S. carriers. If it's not on your carrier yet, it's probably coming. Both are available in glossy plastic. Your choice is basically white or black, or you want to call it gray. Big displays, fast processors. We're going to look at them now. Here it is, two smartphones battling it out yet again on our channel. Right here we have the LG G2, the new kid on the block, just came out. It's still not available on some carriers, but you can get it on AT&T and Verizon Wireless in the U.S. right now. And here we have the Samsung Galaxy S4 that came out in the U.S. in May, available on every major carriers and several minor carriers as well. Both of these are big screen Android phones with Snapdragon processors and 13 megapixel cameras, and they share a love of shiny plastic. Both of these phones have that Korean aesthetic. Here we have shiny black plastic. Here we have shiny white plastic. The LG will be available in white. The Samsung's also available in a kind of grayish, shiny metallic, gray-black kind of finish. So there you have it. I would give the nod for design interestingness to the Samsung. The little faux chrome ring around the edge makes it look a little thinner. Gives it a little more of an interesting look. I like it in white actually pretty well, the look of it. Personally, I don't like the gray one at all. Boy, does it show fingerprints. At least the white one, it hides it. The LG, well, it loves fingerprints too. There's a little bit of a pattern to the finish. It's a teeny bit thicker. Really not too much of a difference. They do a good job of tapering the edges though, so it stays comfortable in your hand. And the white one, well, it's not too bad looking either, but again, you're looking at plastics. One important difference between these two phones is the back is removable on the Samsung Galaxy S4, so you have access to the battery, and there's a micro SD card slot there. Big win for a lot of people. Now, with the LG G2, it's a lot like the iPhone, the HTC One, the Moto X, battery sealed inside. There's no expansion slot on this, so the memory that you have inside is all the memory that you have to work with. When it comes to battery issues, there are a lot of micro USB based charging packs that you can use, so you're not dead in the water if this guy runs out of power, since you can't swap another battery in. And we have a bazillion reviews of those on Mobile Tech Review, so do check that out if you need one of those. Since you cannot expand storage on the LG G2, it comes with 32 gigs of storage. Both the Verizon and AT&T versions have 32 gigs for your $199. The Samsung is 16 gigs for $199. Depending on your carrier, you might be able to order a 32 gig for more money. Another obvious physical difference right here is we have on-screen buttons, and with LG, because you can customize just about everything on the UI, you can actually select the order that these buttons are listed in and add another icon for your drop-down for notifications down here or for quick memo. Samsung has a physical home key and two capacitive buttons on the bottom that are just about impossible to see unless the backlighting comes on. Right now, when I touch it, you might be able to see it. It's white, so it's kind of hard to see. They're actually lit up right now. In a dark room, you can see them. You kind of had to memorize where they are. One thing I've been driven crazy by, though, is the fact that these buttons are so close to the bottom, because Samsung tried to make this phone as small as possible, and that's always a nice thing. The buttons come close to the edge, so often if I'm holding it and my palm is like here, I'll accidentally hit back while I'm reading a web page, that kind of thing. So a minor usability complaint there. Clearly that's something that won't happen on the LG because, well, it doesn't have any little buttons close to the chin. It has no buttons of any kind whatsoever. The downside of the on-screen buttons is obviously they do use up some screen real estate. While we're talking about buttons, this is a traditional phone here. Samsung has a power button on this side where they always like to put it. Handy for if you're holding it in your right hand like this. You got your volume rocker over here. Conversely, if you're holding it with your left hand, those are easily accessible. You'll remember where those are pretty well. They're staggered enough in height so you won't press them accidentally. At the same time, that is. LG, in an effort to make this edge-to-edge display and bring it out so far to the edge, even a little bit closer than the Samsung did, has moved the buttons to the back. What a freaky thought. Now, there's a little hump right here. This is the power button, and then it tapers down to the volume up and volume down. If you're holding this in your hand upright, it actually works well. The idea is we tend to put our hand like this, and you can feel the difference. As to whether you like this or it drives you crazy, you're just going to have to try it and see. I think most people can live with it, at least when they're holding it in portrait mode. When you're holding it in landscape, it makes a whole lot less sense. Both of these have full HD displays, 1920 by 1080. Lovely displays that they are. Here, LG does pull ahead. They have an IPS panel. Really nice, true colors. Reasonably bright. Has a pretty good automatic brightness sensor. It doesn't make things too dim, though I find sometimes it doesn't have as much of an effect as I expected. But wide viewing angles, nice color accuracy. They really work to actually balance out the colors so you don't have any bizarre color cast. Our whites are white. If we look at a web page, you'll see that, or an ebook. In fact, let's open up one right now. And here we have Google Play books, and we've got books open in each, and you can see where the LG just looks an awful lot nicer there. Just more of a contrasty black text on white look here versus the kind of grayish thing going on the Samsung. Another thing to note, though, the camera won't see this, and granted Samsung has improved this. This is a Super AMOLED display with a pentile matrix, which a lot of people complain about these days because you see some aliasing on text. It has fewer subpixels. That said, they've gone with an uneven RGB stripe, and you're hard-pressed, really, even if you have good vision, to see it. And both of these well exceed 400 ppi pixel density, so in terms of text sharpness, they're good, but it's in terms of the IPS quality here with the whites and it's easier on the eyes, as you can see. And again, not such a kind of dingy gray look. And we have both of these on maximum brightness right now. One feature the Samsung does have, like some higher-end Lumia Nokia smartphones, is the ability to turn on glove feature. Basically, you can, even if you have gloves, you can use this display. Handy if you're in cold climate. Now that said, this LG G2 does not have this feature, but a lot of capacitive displays are very sensitive, and I've got a cloth right here I'm going to put over my finger, and you can see I'm still managing to move the display. So if you have thin gloves, you still might be able to, but not thick gloves, no guarantee. Well, get really thick gloves on with either of these, but the Samsung should have the edge with thicker gloves. Here in Texas, we don't have to worry about that too much. When it comes to software, we're looking at Android 4.2.2 here, Jelly Bean, and a whole lot of customized manufacturer software on either of these. That's what makes them rather similar. If you're looking at the HTC One or the Moto X, those both have fairly clean builds of Android in terms of UI customization, so they're kind of in a different camp altogether. But for those of you who like a lot of software, and I know you're out there, since Samsung sells a whole lot of phones, for example, part of that might be their marketing juggernaut status, but I think people do like some of the add-ons. Well, both of these have very similar features, okay? You can start saying LG copied Samsung. In some cases, LG had some features first, but they, number one, they're not as widely well known, so people don't notice these features, and some of them they just actually started employing later. But we'll say Samsung had a lot of these features first. Some of them are pretty darn handy. On both of these guys, the front camera can watch you. These both have high-resolution front cameras, relatively speaking. 2-megapixel ballpark. Anyway, it can watch you, so if you're looking at the device, it will keep the screen on. You know how annoying it is when you're reading something and it turns off while you're looking at it. They both have the same feature where if you're watching a video and you turn away, it can pause the video. And you can turn these features on and off, by the way, if they drive you crazy. In neither case have I found they drain the battery that much. We have multitasking, two different philosophies doing largely the same thing here. I think everybody knows by now what Samsung Touch was about. If we press and hold the back button, we can bring up our little friendly palette of applications. So say we want to have gallery up. Oops, missed it. You can pull that back out. And gallery is taking up the full screen. Now I want to have my Twitter up. And there you have it. And we can close these windows if we want. We could move back and forth. A little hard to catch it sometimes, though. But we can do that. So you can actually resize these unevenly if you want, and that's kind of cool. I still think that at 5 inches, a little bit overkill. On a tablet, great. On the Samsung Galaxy Note, great. There, you're not seeing so much on screen, but it's kind of neat. Here we have the LG way of doing it. And by the way, you can see they both go to town with the customization of the notification area and adding in shortcuts and managing various things right here. So they're taking up a lot of space. Anyway, if we go over here, you can see we have Q-Slide apps, which is roughly the same kind of thing that we have going on there. We have calendar, email, phone, videos. So say we pick videos. And now we have our little video player floating around. Notice it's a widget. It's resizable. There's a grab handle right over here, and you can set transparency on any of these. And if we want a second one up, you can have two at the same time. Say I want to have Notepad up. and now I've got a note at the same time and it automatically opens the keyboard. So two different approaches to the same thing. With this one here, you've got floating widgets. With that one, you've got the side-by-side view. Which do you like better? It's up to you. You can see what the on-screen keyboard looks like over here. I like this keyboard a lot. We've got the dedicated number row up top, nice key spacing, very responsive to use. Samsung also has a pretty good keyboard here. Pretty much the same thing. So there you go. Pretty much a draw for the keyboards. When it comes to the app drawers, they're both doing the same thing again with the translucent background showing up, or not translucent, but the background inversion of whatever your wallpaper is here. And you can see already the LG is a little bit faster. That's one thing. Both of these are heavy on the software, but LG manages to not slow the phone down so much. Maybe because a lot of the customizations are geared toward letting you tinker and set up things exactly the way you want, like changing your icons, like changing which buttons appear at the bottom over here. In general, I find this a bit more responsive. Samsung and TouchWiz, they do have a reputation for bloat. Of course, you can always get the Google Play edition of the Galaxy S4 that does away with much of TouchWiz for a faster experience. On the back, we have 13 megapixel cameras with LED flash in each case. Both of these have excellent cameras. Both of these have backside illuminated sensors, HDR. LG pulls ahead with having optical image stabilization, isolates the camera lens so you see less handshake. That's particularly handy when you're shooting videos and you don't want to make people feel dizzy when they watch the videos that you've shot. I give a slight edge in image quality and in video quality to the LG G2, particularly in low light shots. Even though Samsung has put out some updates for our Galaxy S4, it's still not the best when it comes to low light photography. It's pretty good though. In any case, either way, you're going to be very happy, and these can easily replace your point and shoot camera. In terms of raw processing performance, you know it's a crazy march forward with Moore's Law going on Android phones, because that's one of the ways they differentiate and make you want to buy a new phone. As I mentioned with our Moto X review, however, a lot of people don't need that much power. It's just insane how fast these phones are getting. But for those of you who do care about that, who are particularly worried about future-proofing, because you're not one of those people who upgrades their phone on whatever it is, the T-Mobile every other month plan, the next plan on AT&T, the LG G2 has the latest, greatest. It's the Snapdragon 800 clocked at 2.26 gigahertz. Yo, that is a lot of gigahertz right there. Quad-core CPU, Adreno 330 graphics. The Samsung Galaxy S4, just like the HTC One, has the previous top-of-the-line Snapdragon 600, also a quad-core, clocked at 1.9 gigahertz with Adreno 320 graphics. Yes, the LG G2 does significantly better on synthetic benchmarks. I mean, really, on Quadrant, on Antutu, graphics benchmarks. That said, I think most people are probably having a hard time finding games and things that really do tax their Samsung Galaxy S4 to the max. Really, the most taxing thing for the poor GS4 is TouchWiz and all of Samsung's software on it. Let's talk battery. Here it is, raw naked battery. Like I said, you can remove the battery, obviously, on our Samsung Galaxy S4 here. 2600 milliamps, which is one of the higher capacity batteries you'll find in a non-phablet. LG outdoes it with a 3000 milliamp battery. That's almost as much as the Samsung Galaxy Note 2 phablet. Phablets are big phones that are almost tablet size, and they have room for bigger batteries. And it's good to have that extra juice in there because, like I said, you can't swap in another battery. You're going to have to use a micro USB external battery charging pack. And here's the deal. LG, they used to be kind of lame, as I mentioned in our video review when it came to battery life. This thing is stellar. They have done a lot of power optimizations here, and it really works. This has so far outlasted my Galaxy S4, and I think, again, some of that may be TouchWiz to blame. There's so many things running in the background, and I do tend to leave some of those Samsung features on because I enjoy them. And they can contribute to shortening battery life. Now, neither of these would ever be terrible. I can generally make it through the day on the Galaxy S4. I can easily make it through the day on the LG G2, though. With both of these phones, you can use Google Now for voice commands. Love it, works well, nice stuff. They also have their own proprietary solutions. Samsung has its, well, famous or infamous S-Voice that I find is kind of quacky some of the time. Other times it gets it right. I just asked it what time it was, and it managed that just fine. And we have LG's own version of voice command that I find does a little bit of a better job. Neither of them is going to replace Siri anytime soon, or Moto X with its always listening voice command that doesn't kill the battery. These guys can have resident voice command, always listening. S-Voice tends to be hard on the battery life if you do that. LG's is not quite as bad, but let's test them out. Create a new reminder, 2 p.m. Friday.
this task?
Make a video review.
Okay, here's your task. Would you like to save it?
Cancel.
Okay, I won't save it.
Create a new task, Friday, 2 p.m.
At this event at 2 p.m. on September 20th.
Yes.
Your event has been saved.
So there you go, pretty much the same thing. It didn't ask me to give it a little title there. And let's get out of here now. Cancel.
I'm not sure. We should do that quite yet.
It doesn't want to go away. They're trying to copy Siri there, aren't they? And being a little coy. So there's the voice command on each. In terms of the basic specs, you're looking at the same thing on both of these phones. NFC, a GPS, Bluetooth 4.0, Wi-Fi 802.11 AC. Yes, it has that newer Wi-Fi standard either way that you go. When it comes to the calendar view, you can see they both have highly customized Android. I like both of these. I love being able to see my stuff in month view, for example. Pretty darn handy there. With the Samsung, they go a little bit more skeuomorphistic, as it's called, looking like a paper daily planner, and you've got tabs here to switch between your views. With this one, you use a pop-up selector over here to switch between your views. Both of these have consumer AV-IR remotes, so you can control your home theater gear. Samsung goes basically with a modified version of Peel that has a lot of content discovery, whereas LG's is basically just a very full-featured remote control for up to 5 rooms and all sorts of gear. Both of these phones have excellent call quality. Either way, you're not going to lose with that. They both work with a variety of Bluetooth devices nicely. And we're doing a speed test right here. Both of these are AT&T models, so we're running on AT&T's network in the Dallas area. Their LTE is generally speaking excellent, so we'll see how we do right here. It looks like the Samsung's having a little bit of a slow moment, but normally it actually does quite well. And speeds are, generally speaking, comparable to our LG G2, which is to say about 16, 17 megabits down and 8 to 15 megabits per second up. Both have just about identical reception as measured in dB, not just going by the little bars, because, you know, the little bars are kind of subjective. Now, when it comes to video playback and gaming, I suggest that you watch our full video review of both of these phones if you want to see how they do. But being both wildly powerful and both having large displays, again, 5-inch on the Samsung, 5.2-inch on the LG, you're looking at an excellent experience either way. Certainly very large, beautiful displays that can handle video playback up to full HD, no problem whatsoever, and they're both very good at gaming. Obviously, LG is going to have a little bit of a speed edge there, but right now there is no game or any task I can think of that actually makes you need for 2.2 gigahertz cores just yet. So again, don't harp on it too much right now. The Samsung at 1.9 gigahertz quad core, also very fast. And I know that you guys are going to ask, because you do every time. So if you're wondering what these stands are called, these are called the Stump. These stands, they sell for about 25 bucks. Obviously, they're available in a couple of different colors. So that's the Samsung Galaxy S4 versus the LG G2, and you know it's going to be another one of those things where whichever way you go, you're not going to go wrong. They're both really excellent phones in their own right. Both of them have a whole lot of software piled on top, so they do have that in common, and both of them have big screens, and both of them have great 13-megapixel cameras. I'm Lisa from Mobile Tech Review. Be sure to watch our video review of each of these phones, read our written reviews, and hit that like button.